The wheelchair stopped 3 feet from the cage. Inside, the German Shepherd's lips curled back, showing teeth that had torn through Kevlar vests. Everyone in the shelter held their breath. Then the little girl did something that made every volunteer freeze in horror. She reached her small hand straight through the bars. "Don't!" someone screamed. But it was too late. The dog's jaws opened wide, moving toward those tiny fingers. What happened in the next 5 seconds would change everything. Nobody saw it coming. Not even the dog himself. Before we begin, I need to ask you something. Where are you watching this from? Drop your city or state in the comments below. I love seeing how far these stories travel, and honestly, it helps me know I'm reaching hearts that need to hear this. Now let's go back to where it all started. Mom, please. Just one more minute. Emma Parker stood in the doorway of her daughter's bedroom, watching 7-year-old Lily stare at her tablet screen. Another dog video. Always dog videos. Lily, we've talked about this, Emma said softly, stepping inside. You know we can't. I know. Lily's voice dropped to barely a whisper. I know we can't afford it. I know our apartment is too small. I know I can't even walk to take care of one. The last words hit Emma like a fist to the chest. She crossed the small room and knelt beside her daughter's wheelchair, taking those small hands in hers. That's not what I meant, baby. Yes, it is. Lily finally looked up, and Emma saw tears gathering in those blue eyes. It's okay, Mom. I understand. Girls in wheelchairs don't get to have dogs, just like they don't get to run in the park or dance at birthday parties or... Stop. Emma's voice cracked. Don't you dare finish that sentence. They sat in silence for a moment, the tablet still playing some video of a golden retriever reunion. Emma had lost count of how many times she'd found her daughter like this, watching other people live the life Lily used to have. 2 years. It had been 2 years since the accident. 2 years since Emma had looked in her rearview mirror and seen headlights coming at them sideways. 2 years since she'd heard her daughter scream, then go terrifyingly silent. The doctors called Lily lucky. Lucky because she survived. Lucky because she could still use her arms. Lucky because the paralysis was only from the waist down. Emma didn't feel lucky, and judging by the way Lily spent hours watching dog videos, neither did her daughter. What if... Emma started, then stopped. Lily turned to her, hope flickering in her eyes like a candle in the wind. What if we just went to look, just to visit, the animal shelter across town? They have visiting hours on Saturdays. Really? The word came out so full of longing, it nearly broke Emma's heart. Really? But Lily, listen to me, we're just looking. We're not bringing anything home. We can't. Not yet. But maybe seeing them in person would be... She didn't get to finish. Lily threw her arms around her mother's neck, and for the first time in weeks, Emma heard her daughter laugh. Really laugh. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That night, Emma lay awake wondering if she'd just made a terrible mistake. What if visiting only made things worse? What if Lily's heart broke even more when they had to leave empty-handed? But when Saturday morning came and she saw her daughter already dressed, hair brushed, face glowing with an excitement that had been absent for so long, Emma knew she'd made the right choice. Even if it hurt later, at least Lily would have this moment. Yet, the Haven's hope. Animal Shelter sat at the end of a gravel road, housed in what used to be an old warehouse. Paint peeled from the wooden sign, and the parking lot had more potholes than pavement. It's perfect, Lily whispered as Emma pushed her wheelchair toward the entrance. A bell chimed when they entered. The smell hit them first, not bad, just distinctly. Animal. Hay and soap and something warm and alive. Then came the sound. Barking, lots of it, echoing off metal and concrete. Welcome to Haven's Hope. A young woman with a ponytail and a bright smile approached them. Her name tag read, Mia, volunteer. "Hi," Emma said. "We called earlier about visiting hours. Of course you must be Lily." Mia crouched down to wheelchair level, and Emma appreciated that she didn't talk louder or slower the way some people did. "Have you ever been to a shelter before?" Lily shook her head, eyes wide. "Well, you're in for a treat. We've got 43 dogs here right now. All shapes, all sizes, all stories. Want to meet them?" "Yes, please." As Mia led them down the main corridor, she kept up a steady stream of information. "That's Charlie in the first kennel. He's a beagle mix who was found living in an abandoned car. And that's Daisy, someone left her in a box outside a grocery store. Can you believe that?" Lily couldn't. She reached through the bars to pet Daisy, a small mutt with one blue eye and one brown. The dog licked her finger's tail, wagging so hard her whole body shook. "She likes you," Mia said. "I like her too." They moved from cage to cage. Lily giggled when a puppy tried to climb the bars to reach her. She cooed at an old Labrador who watched her with wise, tired eyes. Emma saw her daughter's face light up in ways it hadn't since before the accident, and she thought, maybe this was worth it after all. Maybe this will be enough. Then they reached the end of the corridor. The barking changed, got deeper, harsher, a sound that made something primal tighten in Emma's chest. Mia's smile faltered. "Okay, so this last section is, well, it's different." "Different how?" Emma asked. "We have a few dogs back here who need special handling. They're not aggressive exactly, but they've had harder lives, trauma. They're working through some things." The growling grew louder as they approached. Emma's hand instinctively went to her daughter's shoulder. "Maybe we should head back," Emma suggested. But Lily was leaning forward in her wheelchair, craning to see around the corner. "What kind of dogs?" Mia hesitated. "Well, there's Max, who was in a fighting ring before we rescued him. There's Bella, who was abused by her previous owner. And there's—" A massive bark cut her off. Not playful, not friendly. A bark that said stay away. "That's Rex," Mia said quietly. "Can we see him?" Lily asked. "Lily?" Emma started. "Honey, I don't know if that's a good idea," Mia said gently. He's complicated. He used to be a police dog, very brave, very loyal. But something happened during his last mission, and he's been having a hard time trusting people since then." "What happened?" Lily's voice had gone soft. Mia glanced at Emma, who nodded slightly. "A little girl died," Mia said. "During a rescue operation. Rex tried to save her, but he couldn't. And I think in his heart he blames himself." Silence fell over the corridor. The other dogs had quieted too, as if listening. Then Lily said, "He sounds like me." "What?" Mia blinked. "After my accident, I blamed myself too. I kept thinking if I'd been sitting different, or if I'd been paying attention, or if I'd done something different, maybe I wouldn't have ended up like this." Lily looked down at her legs. "Maybe he just needs someone who understands." Emma's throat tightened. She'd known her daughter was struggling, but hearing it put into words like that— "Lily, sweetie," Mia said carefully. "Rex isn't safe. He's bitten 3 handlers. We have to feed him through a slot in the door. The director is talking about—" She stopped, but they all knew what she couldn't say. "Please," Lily whispered. "I just want to see him, not touch him. Just see him." Emma and Mia exchanged looks. Finally, Mia sighed. "Okay, but we stay back, way back. Deal." Deal. They turned the corner, and there he was. Rex stood in the last cage, separated by an extra layer of reinforced wire mesh. He was massive, easily 90 pounds of muscle and fur. His coat was dark German Shepherd coloring, but his muzzle bore a long scar that pulled slightly when he curled his lips. His eyes were the worst part. They weren't cruel or wild. They were haunted. Like he was looking at something only he could see, something terrible. When he saw them, his head lowered. A deep rumble started in his chest. "It's okay," Mia said, though her voice shook slightly. "We're not getting closer." But Lily was already rolling her wheelchair forward. "Lily, no!" Emma grabbed the handles, trying to stop her. "Mom, wait!" "Lily, listen to the nice lady. We need to—" "He's scared." Lily's voice came out louder than Emma had heard in months. "Can't you see? He's not angry. He's terrified." Emma looked at Rex again. The dog's ears were pinned back. His tail was tucked tight. He was pressed against the far corner of his cage, making himself as small as a 90-pound German Shepherd could make himself. Lily was right. He wasn't trying to attack. He was trying to disappear. "We should go," Mia said nervously. "This isn't—" "Give me 1 minute," Lily said. "Please, just 1 minute. I won't get any closer, I promise." Every instinct Emma had screamed at her to pull her daughter away, to get her out of there, to keep her safe. But then she remembered what Dr. Morrison had said during one of Lily's therapy sessions. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is let our children face their fears, even when it terrifies us. 1 minute, Emma heard herself say. "That's all." Lily nodded. She rolled her wheelchair forward just a few inches. Emma's heart nearly stopped, then stopped. The cage was still a good 6 feet away. For a long moment, nobody moved. Rex stood frozen, growling eyes fixed on the little girl. Lily sat perfectly still, hands folded in her lap. Then Lily spoke. Her voice was barely above a whisper, but in the quiet corridor it carried. "Hi, Rex. My name is Lily." The growling stuttered, stopped, started again. "I know you're scared," Lily continued. "I know something bad happened, and you think it's your fault. I know that feeling. I know it really, really well." Rex's ears twitched forward slightly. "After my accident, I used to have nightmares every night. I'd wake up screaming, and my mom would come running, and I'd cry because I couldn't make my legs work. I'd cry because I thought I did something wrong. I thought I deserved this." Emma's vision blurred with tears. She'd had no idea. All those nights Lily said she was fine, she'd been hiding this. "But you know what I learned," Lily said. "Sometimes bad things just happen. They're not our fault. They're not punishment. They're just bad things. And we can either let them break us forever, or we can try to be brave again." The growling had stopped completely. Rex was staring at Lily now with an intensity that should have been frightening, but somehow wasn't. "I'm trying to be brave again," Lily said. "It's really hard. Some days I don't want to get out of bed. But I'm trying. And I think maybe you're trying too. I can see it in your eyes." Slowly, so slowly, Emma almost didn't notice. At first, Rex took a step forward. Then another. He moved toward the front of his cage, head low, tail still tucked. "That's it," Lily whispered. "I'm not going to hurt you, I promise." Rex came all the way to the front of the cage and stopped. He was only 3 feet from Lily's wheelchair now, close enough that Emma could see the way his sides heaved with each breath, close enough to see the old scars hidden in his fur. "You were a hero once," Lily said. "Mia told me. You saved people. You were brave and strong, and everyone counted on you. You still are all those things, Rex. You just forgot." Rex sat down. It was such a sudden movement that Mia gasped. His tail gave one small, uncertain wag. "Oh my God," Mia breathed. "He's never done that before. Never." Lily smiled, and it was the most beautiful thing Emma had seen in 2 years. "Can I come a little closer? I won't touch the cage. I just want you to see me better." No one answered because no one knew what to say. Emma's hands were shaking on the wheelchair handles. Every maternal instinct screamed at her to pull Lily back to run to get her baby away from the dangerous animal. But Lily was already rolling herself forward, using her arms to turn the wheels. 1 rotation, 2, 3. She stopped 2 feet from the cage. Rex didn't move. He just watched her with those haunted eyes. Then Lily did something that made Emma's blood turn to ice. She reached her hand out toward the cage, not touching the bars yet, just extending her arm into the space between them. "Lily, don't—" Emma started forward. "Mom, wait," Lily said without looking back. "Please, trust me." "Lily, we need to—" Mia's voice was high with panic. "He won't hurt me," Lily said with absolute certainty. "I know he won't." Her hand moved closer. Closer. Emma couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. Couldn't do anything but watch as her daughter's small fingers stretched toward the metal bars. Rex stood up. His nose came forward, almost touching the wire mesh from his side. "It's okay," Lily whispered. "I'm right here. I see you. I see how much you hurt. I see how much you're trying." Then she did it. She slipped her hand through the bars. Emma screamed. Mia lunged forward, but neither of them were fast enough. Rex's head moved toward those tiny, vulnerable fingers. His mouth opened, showing teeth that could crush bone. Time seemed to slow down. Emma saw everything in crystal clarity, her daughter's hand, pale and small, disappearing toward the German shepherd's jaws. The dog's scarred muzzle. Those haunted eyes. This was it. This was the moment where everything went wrong, where Emma's worst fear came true, where she lost her daughter in a different, more terrible way. Rex's mouth closed around Lily's hand, and then he licked it. A gentle, careful lick. Like she was made of glass, and he was afraid of breaking her. Emma's knees nearly gave out. Mia grabbed the wall for support. Somewhere down the corridor, another volunteer dropped something with a clatter. Lily laughed. Actually laughed. "That tickles," she said. Rex's tail wagged. Not tentatively this time. A real wag, his whole back end moving with it. "Oh, Rex," Lily said softly. "You're not broken. You're just hurt. There's a difference." The dog pushed his nose further through the bars, pressing against her palm. A soft whine escaped his throat, not aggressive but pleading. Desperate. "I know," Lily whispered, and Emma realized her daughter was crying. Happy tears streaming down her face as she gently stroked the dog's nose. "I know it hurts. I know you miss who you used to be. But you're still here. You're still you. And you're still a hero to me." Rex's eyes closed. He leaned into her touch like it was the first kindness he'd felt in a year. Maybe it was. Emma sank down onto a nearby bench, her legs finally giving out. She watched her paralyzed daughter comfort a traumatized war dog, and something inside her chest cracked open. Something that had been closed since the accident. Hope. "I need to get Sarah," Mia whispered, backing away slowly. "The director needs to see this. Nobody's going to believe it." But Emma barely heard her. She was watching her daughter, her broken, brave, beautiful daughter, smile wider than she had in 2 years. And she was watching Rex the dog everyone had given up on, wag his tail and lean into love like he'd been waiting his whole life for this little girl to find him. "Mom," Lily said without looking back, "can we stay a little longer? Please." Emma wiped her eyes. "Yeah, baby. We can stay as long as you want." Rex pressed harder against Lily's hand, and for the first time since arriving at the shelter, he made a sound that wasn't a growl or a bark. He made a sound almost like a purr. Content, safe, home. And in that moment, Emma knew with absolute certainty they weren't leaving this shelter empty-handed after all. Sarah Chen had been running Haven's Hope for 12 years, and in that time, she thought she'd seen everything. Dogs who'd been beaten, learning to trust again. Puppies abandoned in dumpsters growing into healthy adults. Even a 3-legged pit bull who'd become a therapy dog at the local children's hospital. But this was different. She stood outside Rex's cage, arms crossed, watching Lily Parker stroke the German shepherd's scarred muzzle through the bars. Rex's eyes were half closed, his breathing steady and calm. Every few seconds his tail would thump against the concrete floor. How long has she been here? Sarah asked quietly. Mia checked her phone. 2 hours. Sarah, he hasn't growled once. Not once. And she's had her hand in there the whole time. Most of it. Her mom tried to get her to take a break, but Lily said Rex needed her. Sarah shook her head slowly. I need to call someone. I don't even know what this is. Magic, Emma said from her seat on the bench. Her eyes were red from crying. It's magic. Sarah walked closer, moving slowly so as not to startle the dog. Rex's ear twitched in her direction, but he didn't turn his head. Didn't tense. His focus stayed locked on the little girl. Lily, honey, Sarah said gently. I'm Sarah. I run this shelter. Hi, Lily said without looking away from Rex. Your shelter is really nice. Thank you. Lily, can I ask you something? What made you want to come over here? To Rex's cage. Lily was quiet for a moment, her small hand still resting against Rex's nose. I heard him, she finally said. Heard him? You mean his barking? No. I heard what he wasn't saying. Lily turned then, and Sarah saw something in those young eyes that shouldn't have been there yet. Wisdom, understanding, pain that had aged beyond years. When you hurt really bad, you learn to recognize it in others, even if they can't use words. Sarah felt her throat tighten. Is that so? My therapist says I have something called hyper-empathy now. Since my accident, she says sometimes when we go through trauma, we become more sensitive to other people's pain. Lily looked back at Rex. I think Rex has it too. I think that's why what happened to that little girl hurt him so much. He felt too much. Sarah glanced at Emma, who nodded slightly. This child understood things most adults couldn't grasp. Lily, what you've done here today is remarkable. Rex hasn't let anyone touch him in over a year. But I need you to understand something. Sarah crouched down to wheelchair level. Rex isn't a pet. He's a retired working dog with severe PTSD. Even if he's calm now, we can't predict how he'll be tomorrow or next week. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're saying he's dangerous. I'm saying he's unpredictable, and that means he can't be adopted, not by anyone, especially not by a family with a child. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Lily's hand stilled on Rex's nose. The dog whined softly, sensing the shift in her mood. But he's better now, Lily said, her voice small. You saw. He's not scary anymore. One good interaction doesn't erase a year of aggression, sweetheart. I wish it did. But we have liability issues, insurance concerns, safety protocols. So what happens to him? Lily interrupted. Her voice had gone flat, cold. If nobody can adopt him, what happens? Sarah couldn't answer. Didn't need to. Lily was smart enough to figure it out herself. No. Lily pulled her hand back from the cage. Rex immediately pressed forward, trying to follow her touch. No, you can't. He's not bad. He's just sad. You can't kill someone for being sad. Lily, Emma started. Mom, tell her. Tell her they can't do that. Lily spun her wheelchair around to face her mother, and Emma saw something she hadn't seen since before the accident. Fire. We have to do something. We have to help him. Emma looked at Sarah helplessly. I don't know what you want me to say, baby. We can't. We're not equipped to handle a dog like Rex. Our apartment is tiny. I work full-time. You're in physical therapy 3 days a week. And even if we had the space and time, I don't know the first thing about training dogs with trauma. Then we'll learn. Lily's voice cracked. Mom, please. You said sometimes the bravest thing we can do is face our fears. Remember Dr. Morrison said that. You told me that. Emma felt the words hit her like stones. Her own advice thrown back at her when it mattered most. That's different, Lily. That was about you trying new things in therapy, not about bringing home a 90-pound dog who has a history of biting people. Is it different? Really? Lily wheeled closer to her mother. You want me to be brave in physical therapy? You want me to be brave when kids at school stare at my wheelchair? You want me to be brave when I can't do things other kids can do? But when I ask you to be brave with me, when I ask you to take a risk on something that actually matters, you say no. The accusation stung because there was truth in it. Emma had spent 2 years pushing her daughter to be braver, stronger, more resilient. And now, when Lily was showing all those qualities, Emma was the one backing down. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. Tears were streaming down Lily's face now. It's exactly that simple. He needs us, Mom, and I need him. I know you don't understand, but when I'm with Rex, I don't feel broken anymore. I feel like maybe I can be okay again. Don't you want that for me? Emma felt something crack inside her chest. She looked at Sarah. Is there any way, any possible way this could work? Sarah sighed heavily. I'd need to make some calls. Talk to our insurance. Consult with a canine behavioral specialist. Even then. But it's not impossible. Nothing's impossible. But the liability alone. I'll sign anything, Emma said. Waivers, releases, whatever you need. I'll take full responsibility. Mom. Lily's voice was small now, hopeful. I'm not promising anything, Emma said firmly. But I'm saying we'll try. We'll at least try. Rex, who had been watching this entire exchange with intelligent eyes, let out a sharp bark. Not aggressive. Urgent. His paw scraped at the cage door. He knows, Lily whispered. He knows we're talking about him. Sarah pulled out her phone. Okay, let me make some calls. But Emma, I'm serious about this. If we move forward, you need to understand what you're taking on. This isn't like adopting a normal dog. Rex will need professional training, ongoing behavioral therapy, possibly medication for anxiety. And there are no guarantees. He could have setbacks. He could regress. Are you prepared for that? Emma looked at her daughter, saw the hope blazing in her eyes, and thought about all the doctors who'd said Lily would never smile again, never laugh again, never find joy in anything again. They'd been wrong about that. Maybe they'd be wrong about this too. Yes, Emma said. We're prepared. What she didn't say was that she had no idea how they'd afford any of it. No idea how they'd manage logistics. No idea if this was the bravest or stupidest decision she'd ever made. But when Lily turned her wheelchair back to Rex's cage and the dog pressed his nose through the bars to meet her hand again, Emma thought, maybe some things are worth being stupid for. Sarah stepped away to make her calls, and Mia brought them water and crackers. You should eat something, she told Lily. You've been here for hours. I'm not hungry. Lily, Emma started. Mom, if I leave, what if he thinks I'm not coming back? What if he thinks I gave up on him? Rex whined softly, as if confirming her concern. He'll be okay for a few minutes, Mia said gently. Actually, Sarah usually takes the dogs for walks in the outdoor area around this time. Would you like to see if Rex would go with you? Lily's eyes went wide. Really? We could walk with him. Well, technically, I'd be holding the leash and we'd be outside the fence, but yes, you could be near him. Mia looked at Emma. If your mom says it's okay. Emma wanted to say no, wanted to wrap her daughter in bubble wrap and keep her away from anything that could possibly hurt her. But Lily was looking at her with such desperate hope that Emma heard herself say, okay, but we stay behind the fence, and if anything seems off, we come straight back inside. Deal. Deal. Mia disappeared into a back room and returned with a heavy-duty leash and what looked like a muzzle. Standard protocol for any dog with a bite history, she explained when she saw Lily's face fall. It's not forever, just until we know for sure he's safe. Getting Rex out of his cage took 20 minutes. Mia had to use 3 different sets of keys, and even then, she made Lily and Emma move to the far end of the corridor before she opened the door. Rex stood at the threshold, head low, uncertain. "It's okay, boy," Mia coaxed. "Come on out." He didn't move, just stood there staring at the open door like he'd forgotten what freedom looked like. "Rex," Lily called softly. "Come here, buddy. It's okay." At the sound of her voice, his ears perked up. He took one tentative step forward, then another, and suddenly he was moving not toward Mia with the leash, but toward Lily in her wheelchair. "Whoa, easy," Mia started. But Rex wasn't aggressive. He walked straight to Lily and sat down beside her chair, looking up at her face like he was waiting for instructions. "Good boy," Lily breathed. "Such a good boy." Mia managed to clip the leash on, though her hands were shaking. "Okay, let's try this." Slowly. They made their way to the back of the shelter where a fenced outdoor area provided space for the dogs to run. Mia kept Rex on her side of the fence, while Lily and Emma stayed on the outside. The German Shepherd kept trying to get closer to Lily, pulling against the leash. "He wants to be near you," Mia said, clearly amazed. "Rex, heel. Heel, boy." He didn't heel. He pulled harder, whining. "What if I went inside?" Lily asked. "Just for a minute." "Absolutely not," Emma said immediately. "Mrs. Parker's right," Mia agreed. "We're already pushing boundaries here. Let's not," Rex barked. Once sharp and commanding. Then he did something none of them expected. He sat down, looked directly at Lily, and raised his right paw. Is he asking to shake?" Emma asked. "I've never seen him do that before," Mia whispered. "That's a trained behavior, from his police days." Lily pressed her hand against the fence, and Rex pressed his paw against the opposite side. Even through the chain link, they were connected. "He remembers," Lily said softly. "He remembers who he used to be." They stayed like that for almost an hour. Mia let Rex off leash in the enclosed area, and he stayed close to the fence near Lily. Sometimes he'd run in circles showing off like a puppy. Sometimes he'd just sit and watch her. But he never went far. Emma found herself relaxing despite every instinct screaming at her to stay vigilant. There was something about watching them together that felt right. Natural, like two puzzle pieces that had been looking for each other. "Mrs. Parker." Emma turned to find Sarah walking toward them, phone in hand. Her expression was unreadable. "I've made some calls," Sarah said. "Talked to our insurance, our vet, and a K9 behavioral specialist named Marcus Reed, who works with retired military and police dogs." Emma's heart was pounding. And they all said the same thing, that what we're seeing here is unprecedented. Dogs with Rex's level of trauma don't just recover overnight. They certainly don't bond this quickly or this strongly with anyone. So that means... It means Marcus wants to come meet Rex and Lily. Tomorrow, if possible. He said if what I'm describing is accurate, he wants to evaluate them himself. Sarah paused. He also said, if, and this is a very big if Rex continues to show this kind of progress, and if Marcus believes it's genuine, he might be willing to supervise a trial adoption. Lily, who had been eavesdropping, let out a scream of joy. Rex immediately barked, tail wagging furiously. Wait, Emma said, holding up her hand. "What does trial adoption mean? What are we talking about here?" "It means you'd take Rex home, but Marcus would come for daily check-ins at first, then weekly. He'd work with all of you, training Rex, teaching you how to handle him, setting up safety protocols. It would be intensive, expensive, and there are no guarantees. If at any point Marcus feels Rex is a danger, he goes back to the shelter immediately. And if it works..." Sarah smiled, small but genuine. "Then you'd have the most well-trained guard dog in the state." Emma looked at her daughter, who was practically vibrating with excitement. Looked at Rex, who was watching Lily with complete devotion. Looked at her own bank account mentally and tried not to panic about how they'd afford professional K9 training. "Okay," Emma heard herself say. "Let's do it." That night, Emma lay awake again. But this time, it wasn't worry keeping her up. It was possibility. Tomorrow, they'd meet Marcus. Tomorrow, they'd find out if this crazy, impossible idea could actually work. She thought about the last 2 years. The hospital stays. The therapy sessions. The nights she'd heard Lily crying through the walls and hadn't known how to help. The way her bright, energetic daughter had slowly dimmed like someone was turning down her light. And then she thought about today. About the way Lily had laughed. About the fire that had come back into her eyes. About how for the first time since the accident, her daughter had fought for something. Maybe they couldn't afford this. Maybe it was reckless. Maybe she was making a huge mistake. But maybe, just maybe, this traumatized war dog was exactly what her traumatized daughter needed. Emma's phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Marcus can come at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Fair warning, he's tough. Won't approve the adoption unless he's 100% certain. Emma typed back, "We'll be ready." In the next room, Lily was already asleep, one hand clutched around a stuffed German shepherd Emma had bought her years ago. She'd stopped sleeping with it after the accident, said she was too old for stuffed animals. But tonight, it was back in her arms. Emma closed her eyes and whispered to the darkness, "Please let this work. Please." She didn't know who she was praying to. God. The universe. Fate. It didn't matter. She just needed someone to hear her. Because tomorrow wasn't just about adopting a dog. Tomorrow was about whether her daughter could learn to hope again. And Emma wasn't sure she could survive watching that hope get crushed. Marcus Reed arrived at Haven's Hope at exactly 10 o'clock. Emma knew because she'd been checking her watch every 30 seconds for the past hour. He was not what she expected. Tall, yes, with the bearing of someone who'd spent time in the military. But his eyes were kind, and when he shook her hand, his grip was gentle. "Mrs. Parker, I'm Marcus, and you must be Lily." Lily nodded shyly from her wheelchair. She'd insisted on wearing her best dress, the blue one with flowers. Emma had braided her hair. They'd both wanted to make a good impression. "Before we begin," Marcus said, pulling out a clipboard, "I need to make sure we're all on the same page. Sarah's told me about yesterday, but I need to see it myself. I need to evaluate Rex's behavior, his responses, and his interactions with Lily. I'll be watching for signs of fear, aggression, possessiveness, anxiety, triggers, basically anything that might indicate he's not ready for family placement." "What are the chances?" Emma asked, needing to know. "Honestly, what are the chances this works?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "Honestly, I'd have said 0 before I got Sarah's call, but she sent me the security footage from yesterday. Mrs. Parker, in 15 years of working with traumatized K9’s, I've never seen anything like what I saw in that video. So I'm going to give you a number I never give. 20%. Maybe 30 if everything goes perfectly." "That's it." "That's a miracle, Mrs. Parker. Most dogs with Rex's history don't recover at all." Lily spoke up, then her voice small but firm. "He's going to surprise you, just like he surprised everyone else." Marcus smiled. "I hope you're right, kiddo. Now shall we go meet him?" Rex was already pacing in his cage when they arrived. The moment he saw Lily, he stopped, sat. His tail started wagging so hard, his entire back end swayed. "Well," Marcus said softly, "that's new." "What is?" Emma asked. "That level of focused attention. See how he's ignoring everyone else in the room, how his entire body is oriented toward your daughter. That's bonding behavior, strong bonding behavior." He moved closer to the cage, and Rex's ears flattened. A low growl started. "And that's protective behavior. He sees me as a potential threat to her." "Is that bad?" Lily asked nervously. "Actually, it's good. It means his protective instincts are kicking back in. But we need to make sure he can distinguish between real threats and people who are just approaching his person." Marcus pulled out a small notebook. "Okay, here's what we're going to do. Sarah's going to let Rex out. I'm going to observe how he behaves. Lily, I need you to follow my instructions exactly. Can you do that?" "Yes, sir." "Good girl." The process was agonizing. Marcus had them run through dozens of scenarios. What happened when Lily rolled toward Rex? What happened when she rolled away? What happened when Emma approached? When strangers approached? When loud noises occurred? Through it all, Rex stayed focused on Lily. He never snapped, never lunged. Once, when a volunteer accidentally dropped a metal food bowl and the crash echoed through the shelter, Rex tensed and started to bark. But then Lily said, "It's okay, Rex, just a noise. You're safe." And he immediately calmed down. Marcus wrote constantly in his notebook, his expression unreadable. After 3 hours, Emma's nerves were shot. Lily looked exhausted. Rex was panting heavily, though he still wouldn't leave Lily's side. Finally, Marcus closed his notebook. "Okay, I've seen enough." Emma's heart stopped. And I'm going to approve a trial adoption. But he held up his hand when Lily started to squeal. "With conditions. Serious conditions. I'll be coming to your home every single day for the first 2 weeks. If I miss even one day and something happens, I'm liable. So you need to be available. Every day, 10 a.m. sharp." "We can do that," Emma said quickly. "Second condition. Rex wears a leash inside the house for the first month, even when he seems calm, even when you trust him. Until we know his triggers and responses, he stays leashed where you can control him." "Okay." Third, no other children around him. Not neighbors' kids, not cousins, nobody. Not until I clear it. Lily's different, he's bonded with her. But we don't know how he'll react to other kids. That's fine. Fourth, you follow my training protocols exactly. I mean exactly, Mrs. Parker. If I tell you to do something, you do it. If I tell you not to do something, you don't. Rex's rehabilitation depends on consistency. I understand. Marcus looked at Lily. And fifth, you need to understand that this might not work. Even with everything going right, Rex could have a bad day. He could get triggered. He could regress. If that happens, he comes back here. No arguments, no negotiations. Can you accept that? Lily's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. I just want him to have a chance, even if it's a small one. Something in Marcus's expression softened. You remind me of my daughter, he said quietly. She believed broken things could be fixed too. He cleared his throat. Okay, let's get the paperwork started. With any luck, Rex goes home with you today. The next 2 hours were a blur of forms and signatures. Emma signed so many liability waivers, she lost count. Sarah went over feeding schedules, medication times, emergency protocols. Mia helped them load dog supplies into Emma's car food bowls, toys a bed that Rex would probably ignore in favor of sleeping by Lily's wheelchair. And through it all, Rex stayed pressed against Lily's side like he was afraid she might disappear if he looked away. Finally, as the sun started to sink toward the horizon, Marcus said, Okay, let's try a short car ride. See how he handles the transition. Getting Rex into Emma's sedan was easier than expected. He jumped right in when Lily patted the seat beside her wheelchair, which they'd folded and stored in the trunk. Marcus followed in his own truck, and Sarah waved from the shelter doorway. Good luck, she called. Call me if you need anything. Anything at all. The drive home took 15 minutes. Rex sat perfectly still the entire time, his head resting on Lily's lap. Every so often she'd stroke his ears and whisper, We're going home, boy. You're going home. When they pulled up to their small apartment building, Emma felt a wave of doubt. Their place was tiny. 2 bedrooms, barely enough space for 2 people, let alone adding a 90-pound dog. The neighbors upstairs were loud, the neighbors downstairs complained about everything. How were they going to make this work? But then she looked in the rearview mirror and saw her daughter's face lit up with more joy than Emma had seen in 2 years, and she thought, we'll figure it out. Somehow. Marcus helped them get Rex inside. The dog immediately started exploring, sniffing every corner, marking the space as his territory. When he got to Lily's bedroom, he sat down in front of her door and looked back at them expectantly. I think he's claiming your room, Marcus said with a small smile. Is that okay? Lily asked. Actually, it's perfect. It means he sees you as his primary person. His job is to protect you. Marcus pulled out his phone. Okay, I'm going to take some photos for my records. Document his first day. Emma, can you get me a glass of water? Emma headed to the kitchen, leaving Marcus with Lily and Rex. She filled a glass from the tap, her hands shaking slightly. This was real. This was actually happening. They'd brought home a PTSD-riddled police dog, and now they were responsible for making sure he didn't hurt anyone. What had she been thinking? She walked back to the living room and froze. Marcus was crouched down, talking into his phone. But his voice had changed. Gone hard. Yeah, I'm at the Parker residence now, with the dog. Listen, Chief. I need to tell you something. About Rex. About what happened that night. Emma's blood went cold. That night. The night the little girl died. Marcus didn't know she was listening. Kept talking. I've seen the incident reports. I know what the official story says, but I also know Rex. Knew him before everything went wrong, and I'm telling you something doesn't add up. That dog wouldn't just fail like that, not without a reason. There was a pause. Then, I'm not saying someone's lying. I'm saying maybe we don't have the full story, and if we're going to rehab him properly, we need to know what really happened that night. Emma stepped back into the kitchen, heart pounding. What was Marcus suggesting? That Rex's failure wasn't his fault, that something else had happened during that rescue operation. She thought about the haunted look in Rex's eyes, the way he'd shut down, the way he'd rejected everyone except Lily. What if he wasn't just traumatized by what he'd seen? What if he was traumatized by what he'd been forced to do? Emma set the glass down harder than she meant to. The sound made Marcus look up from his phone call. Chief, I'll call you back, he said quickly, ending the conversation. He stood up, sliding his phone into his pocket. Mrs. Parker, I didn't hear you come back. What did you mean? Emma's voice came out sharper than she intended. About that night, about Rex's failure not being his fault. Marcus's jaw tightened. It's complicated. Then uncomplicate it. Because you just brought that dog into my home around my daughter, and now you're suggesting there's more to his story than we know. Emma crossed her arms. I signed those waivers. I took on the liability. I deserve to know what really happened. For a long moment, Marcus didn't answer. Then he sighed, running a hand over his face. You're right. You do. But not here. Not in front of Lily. Mom. Lily's voice came from her bedroom. Is everything okay? Everything's fine, baby, Emma called back, her eyes never leaving Marcus. Why don't you show Rex his new bed? Okay. Once they heard Lily talking softly to Rex, Marcus gestured toward the small kitchen table. They both sat down, and Emma waited. What I'm about to tell you, Marcus began quietly, isn't official. The department closed the case. The reports say Rex failed to protect the hostage, that he froze when he should have acted. But I've worked with K9’s for 15 years, Mrs. Parker. I've seen dogs fail. I've seen them freeze. I've seen them break under pressure. And what happened to Rex that wasn't failure? That was something else entirely. What do you mean? Marcus leaned forward, his voice dropping even lower. Rex's handler that night was Officer Mark Jensen. Good cop, good man. He trusted Rex with his life, and Rex trusted him right back. They'd worked together for 3 years, completed over 100 operations. Mark said Rex could read a situation better than most trained officers. So what went wrong? That's just it. According to the official report, nothing went wrong until they entered the warehouse where the hostage was being held. Armed suspect, 8-year-old girl, classic standoff situation. Marcus paused. The report says they sent Rex in first to locate the hostage. Standard procedure. But when Rex found her, he didn't extract. He just stood there. wouldn't move, wouldn't respond to commands. And by the time the tactical team made entry, the suspect had already killed the girl. Emma felt sick. Oh God. But here's what doesn't make sense. Mark told me off the record months later, when he was drunk and grieving, that when they finally got inside, Rex wasn't frozen. He was positioned between the girl's body and the suspect. Defensive stance, like he'd been trying to protect her even after she was gone. I don't understand. If he was protecting her, then why didn't he stop it from happening in the first place? Marcus finished. That's the question. That's what's been eating at Mark ever since. He said something felt wrong about the whole operation from the start. Wrong intel, wrong timing, wrong everything. But he couldn't prove it, and the department just wanted to move on. Emma's mind was racing. You think someone set Rex up to fail? I think someone made a mistake, and Rex became the scapegoat. Easier to blame a dog than admit the operation was compromised from the beginning. Marcus's hands clenched into fists on the table. And now that dog is carrying guilt for something that probably wasn't his fault at all. Does Rex know that can dogs even understand that kind of nuance? You'd be surprised what dogs understand, Mrs. Parker, especially dogs like Rex who've been trained to read human behavior to pick up on cues most of us miss. He knows something went wrong. He knows everyone blamed him, and he's been punishing himself ever since. Emma thought about the way Rex had responded to Lily. The way he'd been so desperate for her touch, her approval, her forgiveness. Like he'd been waiting for someone to tell him he wasn't a monster. My daughter told him he wasn't broken, Emma said softly. She told him he was still a hero. Maybe that's what he needed to hear. Maybe that's the only thing that could have reached him. Marcus stood up. Look, I'm telling you this because you need to understand what you're dealing with. Rex isn't just traumatized, he's carrying shame, guilt, self-hatred, and those things can manifest in unpredictable ways. If he perceives a threat to Lily, especially a threat to a child, his response might be extreme, overprotective. You need to be prepared for that. You're scaring me. Good. You should be a little scared. Respect for what this dog has been through, for what he's capable of, is what will keep everyone safe. Marcus headed toward the door, then stopped. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 10 sharp. We'll start basic commands, see how he responds in a home environment. But Mrs. Parker, if anything feels off, if Rex shows any signs of aggression or instability, you call me immediately, day or night. Understand? I understand. After Marcus left, Emma sat at the kitchen table for a long time, staring at nothing. What had she gotten them into? This wasn't just adopting a traumatized dog. This was bringing home a walking wound that might never fully heal. Mom. Emma looked up to find Lily in her doorway. Rex standing beside her wheelchair like a shadow. Can Rex sleep in my room tonight? Lily asked. Please, I think he'll feel safer. Emma wanted to say no. Wanted to insist Rex stay in the living room where she could monitor him. But then she saw the way the dog was looking at Lily, and she thought about what Marcus had said about guilt and shame, and needing to hear you're still worthy of love. Okay, Emma heard herself say, but door stays open, and I'm checking on you both every hour. Deal. Lily wheeled back into her room, Rex following faithfully. Come on, boy, I'll read you a story before bed. Emma made herself get up, made herself go through the motions of making dinner, even though she wasn't hungry. She could hear Lily's voice drifting from the bedroom, reading some children's book about a dog who saved his family from a fire. The irony wasn't lost on her. She was washing dishes when her phone rang. An unknown number. Hello. Mrs. Parker. This is Officer Mark Jensen. I heard you adopted Rex. Emma's hand tightened on the phone. How did you? Marcus called me, said I should reach out. Mark's voice was rough, heavy with emotion. I wanted to say thank you for giving him a chance. After everything that happened, I thought he'd end up being put down. I couldn't save him myself. My wife, she was terrified of him after the incident, and with our kids. He broke off. I'm sorry, I'm not explaining this well. It's okay. I understand. Emma dried her hands, cradling the phone against her shoulder. Marcus told me about that night. About what really happened. Silence on the other end. Then, he told you his theory. He told me enough. Officer Jensen, can I ask you something? Do you really think Rex failed, or do you think something else went wrong? The pause lasted so long Emma thought the call had dropped. Finally, Mark spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. I think that operation was fucked from the start. Pardon my language. I think someone gave us bad intel. I think we were sent in blind. And I think Rex did exactly what he was trained to do, protect the innocent. But by the time we got there, it was already too late to save her. Then why did the report say he froze? Because someone needed to take the blame, and it's easier to blame a dog than admit the department screwed up. Rex couldn't defend himself, couldn't tell his side of the story. So they wrote the narrative they needed, and he became the failed K9 who couldn't handle the pressure. Mark's voice broke. I should have fought harder for him. Should have insisted on an independent investigation. But I was grieving and angry, and I let them take him away. That's something I'll regret for the rest of my life. Emma heard the weight of that guilt and recognized it. How many times had she wondered if she could have prevented Lily's accident? If she'd left work 5 minutes earlier, taken a different route, stopped for gas, would her daughter still be walking? Officer Jensen, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Is Rex dangerous to my daughter? No. The answer came immediately, firmly. Rex would die before he let another child get hurt. That's not the problem. The problem is he might die trying to protect her from threats that don't exist. He might see danger where there is none. That's what trauma does. It rewires your threat assessment, makes you see enemies everywhere. So what do I do? You give him what he gave that little girl that night: protection, safety, a reason to believe the world isn't all darkness. Mark cleared his throat. And Mrs. Parker? You tell him I'm sorry. You tell him I never stopped believing in him, even when everyone else did. After they hung up, Emma stood in her small kitchen and cried. For Rex, for Mark, for the little girl who died, for her own daughter who'd lost so much, for all the broken pieces trying desperately to become whole again. Mom. Emma wiped her eyes quickly and turned to find Lily watching her from the bedroom doorway. Why are you crying? Just tired, baby. It's been a long day. Are you scared of Rex? Emma considered lying, then decided her daughter deserved the truth. A little bit. Yeah. Lily nodded slowly. I'm a little scared too, but not of him hurting me. I'm scared of him hurting himself. Like if he thinks he failed again, he might just give up. And I can't let that happen, Mom. I can't be another person who gives up on him. Emma crossed the room and knelt beside her daughter's wheelchair. You know what I see when I look at you? I see the bravest person I've ever met. You've been through hell and you're still fighting, still believing in goodness, still trying to save broken things. She touched Lily's face gently. Rex is lucky to have you. We all are. That night, Emma checked on them every hour like she'd promised. Each time she found the same scene: Lily asleep in her bed, Rex curled on the floor beside her, one paw stretched out to touch her wheelchair. Standing guard, even in sleep. At 3 a.m. on her fourth check, Emma found Rex awake. His eyes reflected the hallway light, watching her. It's okay, boy, she whispered. I'm just checking on her. Rex's tail thumped once against the floor. An acknowledgement. A truce. Emma stood there for a moment, looking at this massive dog, who'd once been a hero, who'd been blamed for a tragedy he couldn't prevent, who'd given up on himself until a paralyzed little girl had reminded him what love looked like. I'm going to tell you what Mark said to say, Emma said softly. He never stopped believing in you, and neither will we. Rex's ears perked up at Mark's name. A soft whine escaped his throat. I know, Emma said. I know you miss him. I know you miss who you used to be. But you're still here, Rex. You're still fighting. That makes you brave. That makes you a hero. The dog stood up slowly, stretched, and walked over to where Emma stood in the doorway. He sat down at her feet and looked up at her with those haunted eyes. Then he did something that made Emma's breath catch. He placed his paw on her foot. The same gesture he'd offered Lily. A handshake. A promise. Emma crouched down and took that massive paw in her hand. "Okay," she whispered. "We're in this together. All of us. We're going to figure this out." Rex licked her hand once, then returned to his post beside Lily's bed. Emma went back to her own room, but didn't sleep. Just lay there thinking about broken things and second chances, and how sometimes the things we're most afraid of are the things we need most. The next morning, Marcus arrived at exactly 10 o'clock. Emma had been up since dawn, anxiety making sleep impossible. Lily was already dressed and waiting in the living room, Rex sitting calmly beside her wheelchair. "Good morning," Marcus said, setting down a large duffel bag. "How was the first night?" "Better than expected," Emma admitted. "No incidents. He slept in Lily's room." "And how did he react to morning routines, bathroom breaks, breakfast?" "Fine. He followed Lily everywhere but didn't get aggressive or anxious, just watchful." Marcus nodded, making notes. "Good. That's very good. Okay, today, we're going to work on basic commands with Lily as the primary handler. Rex needs to understand that she's in charge, that her word is law. This is crucial for safety. If she tells him to stop, he stops. If she tells him to stay, he stays, no exceptions." They spent the next 2 hours running drills. Sit, stay, come, down, heel. Rex responded perfectly to every command when Lily gave it. But when Marcus tried the same commands, Rex hesitated, looking to Lily for confirmation before obeying. "Interesting," Marcus muttered. "He's bonded to her even stronger than I thought." Lily tried telling him to go to Emma. Lily looked at her mother. "Rex, go to Mom." Rex immediately crossed the room and sat at Emma's feet. "Now, Emma, you tell him to come back to Lily." "Rex, come," Emma said. Rex didn't move. Just looked at her, then back at Lily. "Huh," Marcus said. "He'll only take commands from Lily. That's both good and problematic. Good because it means she has control. Problematic because in an emergency, if she's incapacitated, no one else can direct him." "Is that fixable?" Emma asked. "Maybe. With time and training. For now, let's work with what we have." Marcus pulled a toy from his bag. "Lily, I want you to throw this and tell Rex to fetch. Let's see if we can get him to play. Dogs heal faster when they remember how to have fun." Lily threw the toy across the room. "Rex, fetch." Rex looked at the toy, then back at Lily, clearly uninterested. "Try again," Marcus encouraged. 3 more attempts. Same result. Rex wouldn't leave Lily's side to chase a toy. "He doesn't trust it," Lily said suddenly. "He thinks if he leaves me, something bad will happen." Marcus and Emma exchanged glances. The kid was perceptive. "You might be right," Marcus said. "Okay, different approach. Emma, you stand by Lily. Make it clear she's protected. Maybe then he'll feel safe enough to play." Emma moved to stand behind her daughter's wheelchair. "We've got her, Rex. She's safe." "Fetch, boy." Lily threw the toy again. This time Rex took 2 steps toward it, then stopped and looked back. "It's okay," Lily said. "Go get it." Rex ran for the toy, grabbed it, and raced back to drop it in Lily's lap. His tail was wagging. "There we go," Marcus said, grinning. "That's progress. That's him starting to trust that the world isn't going to fall apart if he relaxes for 5 seconds. They practiced for another hour. Each time Rex got a little more confident, a little more willing to engage. By the end, he was actually playing, running back and forth, almost like a normal dog. Almost. Because every few minutes he'd stop and check on Lily, make sure she was still there, still safe, still his. "This is good work," Marcus said as he packed up his bag. "Really good. I'll be back tomorrow, same time. Keep reinforcing these commands. Let him play more. And most importantly, let him see that Lily is safe, that he doesn't have to be on guard every second. After Marcus left, Emma made lunch while Lily and Rex settled in the living room. She was cutting sandwiches when she heard voices outside her apartment door. "I'm telling you, Alice, there's a massive dog in there. I saw them bring it in yesterday." "How big are we talking?" "Big enough to eat a child. And you know the Parker girl is in a wheelchair. She can't even run if it attacks." Emma's hand froze on the knife. Her neighbors, gossiping where they knew she could hear. "Should we call someone animal control?" "I already did. Reported it as a dangerous animal in the building. They said they'd send someone to investigate." Emma's blood went cold. She set down the knife and opened the door before she could think better of it. Two women stood in the hallway. Mrs. Chen from upstairs and Mrs. Rodriguez from the end unit. Both looked startled. "Can I help you?" Emma asked, her voice icy. Mrs. Chen had the grace to look embarrassed. Mrs. Rodriguez just lifted her chin defiantly. "We're concerned," Mrs. Rodriguez said, "about safety. That dog has every legal right to be here. He's a service animal, registered and certified. And before you ask, yes, I have all the paperwork. Would you like to see it?" Emma didn't actually have service animal paperwork yet, but she'd be damned if she'd let these busybodies know that. "Even so," Mrs. Chen said nervously, "he looks dangerous. What if he gets loose? What if he attacks someone's pet?" Rex is a retired police K9 who served this city with honor for 3 years. He has more training than most people, and he's under the supervision of a professional canine behaviorist. But thank you so much for your concern. Emma started to close the door, then stopped. "Oh, and Mrs. Rodriguez calling animal control with false reports is actually illegal, just so you know." She closed the door before either woman could respond, her heart hammering. That was a problem, a big problem. If animal control did come, if they saw Rex's history, they could declare him dangerous, regardless of his current behavior. They could take him away. "Mom?" Lily was watching her from the living room, Rex alert beside her. "What's wrong?" Emma forced a smile. "Nothing, baby, just neighbor stuff." But it wasn't nothing. It was a threat, and Emma had no idea how to fight it. That afternoon, while Lily napped, Emma called Marcus. "They called animal control," she said without preamble. "My neighbors reported Rex as dangerous." Marcus swore softly. "Okay, don't panic. Do you have the adoption paperwork from Haven's Hope?" "Yes." "And the training schedule I gave you?" "Yes." "Good. When animal control comes, and they will come, you show them everything. You show them that Rex is in active rehabilitation with a licensed professional. You show them that he's had no incidents since leaving the shelter. And you call me immediately so I can speak to them directly. And if that's not enough..." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "Then we fight. We get letters from Sarah, from the vet, from anyone who's witnessed Rex's progress. We prove that he's not a threat. But Emma, I'm not going to lie to you. If animal control decides he's dangerous, they have the authority to seize him immediately. They can't do that. Lily, it would destroy her." "I know. That's why we're going to make sure it doesn't happen. Trust me. Okay, we've got this." Emma wanted to believe him, but trust was in short supply these days. 2 days passed. Marcus came every morning running Rex through increasingly complex training scenarios. The dog was excelling, learning, healing. And then on the 3rd day, animal control showed up. Emma was washing dishes when the knock came. Firm, official. The kind of knock that meant trouble. "Animal control. We need to speak with you about a dog on the premises." Emma's hands were shaking as she opened the door. 2 officers stood there, a man and a woman, both wearing uniforms and carrying clipboards. "I'm Officer Patterson. This is Officer Liu. We've received complaints about an aggressive dog at this address." "He's not aggressive," Emma said immediately. "He's a retired police canine in rehabilitation. I have all the paperwork. Ma'am, we'll need to see the animal to make that determination ourselves." Emma's mind raced. Rex was in the living room with Lily. If these officers approached her, if they startled him, if he perceived them as a threat. "Let me get my daughter and the dog secured first," Emma said. "Please, he's very protective of her." "That's exactly what we're concerned about," Officer Liu said, not unkindly. "Look, we're not here to take your dog away. We just need to assess the situation. If he's as well trained as you say, this will be quick and easy." Emma had no choice. She led them inside her heart in her throat. Lily was sitting on the couch reading. Rex was on the floor beside her. The moment the officers entered, his head snapped up. His body went rigid. A low growl started in his chest. "Rex, no," Lily said firmly. "They're friends. Sit." Rex sat, but he didn't take his eyes off the officers. Every muscle in his body was tensed, ready to spring. "Miss, we need to examine the dog," Officer Patterson said. "Can you have him come to us?" "He won't," Lily said. "He doesn't take commands from anyone but me." "Then can you bring him over here?" Lily looked uncertain. "He doesn't like people coming near me, not people he doesn't know." Officer Liu crouched down, trying to appear non-threatening. "Sweetie, we're not going to hurt you. We just need to check the dog's temperament. Make sure he's safe." Rex's growl deepened. "Stop!" Lily said, her voice sharp with panic. "Don't come closer, please." But Officer Patterson was already moving, clipboard in hand. "We have a job to do, young lady. Now, if you could just—" Everything happened in less than 2 seconds. Officer Patterson reached toward Lily to presumably take Rex's leash. Rex saw a stranger's hand moving toward his child, and every protective instinct, every traumatic memory, every failure he'd blamed himself for came flooding back. He lunged. "No!" Lily's scream cut through the air like a blade. Rex froze mid-lunge, his jaws inches from Officer Patterson's arm. Every muscle in his body was coiled, trembling with the effort of holding back. "Rex, down!" Lily's voice cracked with desperation. "Down, boy, now!" For one terrible, endless second, nobody breathed. Rex hung suspended between obedience and instinct, between the girl he loved and the threat he perceived. His teeth were bared, his eyes wild, and Emma saw in that moment exactly what Marcus had warned her about. Then Rex dropped to the floor, his whole body shaking. Officer Patterson stumbled backward, his face white. "Jesus Christ, that dog just tried to attack me." "No," Lily said, tears streaming down her face. "He was protecting me. You reached for me, and he thought, I don't care what he thought," Patterson snapped, pulling out his radio. "That's aggressive behavior. That's grounds for immediate seizure." "Wait." Emma threw herself between the officers and Rex. "Please wait. Let me call his trainer. Let me call Marcus Reed. He's a licensed K9 behaviorist. He can explain." "Ma'am, step aside. Please, just give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes to call him. That's all I'm asking." Officer Liu touched her partner's arm. Patterson the dog didn't actually bite. He stopped when the girl commanded him to. That shows control. "That shows luck," Patterson countered. "Next time we might not be so lucky." "There won't be a next time," Emma said desperately. "I swear to God we'll do whatever you need. Extra training, supervision, anything. Just please don't take him, please." Lily was sobbing now, her arms wrapped around Rex's neck. The dog had pressed himself against her wheelchair, his body still trembling, but his eyes locked on the officers. Watching. Waiting. Officer Liu sighed. 5 minutes. Make your call. But Mrs. Parker, I'm going to be honest with you. This doesn't look good. Emma's hands shook so badly she could barely dial Marcus's number. He answered on the first ring. "Emma, what's wrong?" "Animal control is here." Rex almost he lunged at one of the officers. "Marcus, they're going to take him. They're going to put me on speaker. Now." Emma did, holding the phone out toward the officers. "This is Marcus Reed, licensed K9 behaviorist and former military dog handler. Who am I speaking with?" Officer Liu stepped forward. This is Animal Control Officer Jennifer Liu. Mr. Reed, we've just witnessed this dog display aggressive behavior toward my partner. Based on that alone, we have grounds to seize the animal. Did the dog make contact? No, but did the dog break skin, draw blood, cause any physical harm whatsoever? No, Liu admitted. The child stopped him. Then what you witnessed wasn't aggression, Officer Liu. What you witnessed was a traumatized canine responding to a perceived threat to his primary handler. There's a difference. With all due respect, Mr. Reed, the end result is the same. This dog is dangerous. This dog is a decorated police canine who served this city for 3 years. Marcus's voice came through sharp and clear. He has more training than most human officers. He's under my direct supervision, and I'm in that home every single day monitoring his progress. If you seize him now, you're not protecting anyone. You're killing a hero who deserves better. Patterson grabbed the phone. A hero who almost took my arm off. Did you reach toward his child without permission? Silence. Did you approach the child despite being warned not to? More silence. That's what I thought. Officer Patterson, I'm not defending what happened, but I am saying that Rex responded exactly how any protection-trained canine would respond to a stranger reaching for his primary handler. The fact that he stopped on command shows control, shows training, shows that he's not the loose cannon you think he is. He's a liability, Patterson said, but his voice had lost some of its certainty. Then let me take that liability. I'm formally offering to move into the Parker residence for the next 2 weeks. 24-hour supervision. If Rex shows any sign of actual aggression, any indication that he's a genuine threat, I'll surrender him to you myself. But give us 2 weeks. Let me prove he can be rehabilitated. Emma's eyes went wide. Marcus was offering to move in, to put his own reputation on the line. Officer Liu looked at her partner. That's not standard protocol. Nothing about this situation is standard, Marcus said through the phone. But I'm giving you an out here. 2 weeks of documented professional supervision versus seizing a dog who hasn't actually harmed anyone. Which looks better in your report? Patterson and Liu stepped into the hallway to confer. Emma sank onto the couch beside Lily, pulling her daughter close. Rex hadn't moved, hadn't relaxed his vigilance even an inch. Mom, they can't take him, Lily whispered. They can't. He'll die if he goes back to that shelter. You know he will. Emma did know. Rex had barely been surviving before Lily. If they took him back now, after he'd finally found hope again, it would break him completely. The officers came back inside. Officer Liu spoke first. Against my better judgment, we're going to accept Mr. Reed's offer. 2 weeks of supervised observation. But Mrs. Parker, if there's one incident, just one, that dog is seized immediately. No second chances. No appeals. Understood. Understood. Emma breathed. Thank you. Thank you so much. Don't thank us yet, Patterson said grimly. We'll be checking in, randomly, and if we find Mr. Reed isn't actually supervising around the clock like he promised, the deal's off. After they left, Emma collapsed. Just literally sat down on the floor and put her head in her hands. Her whole body was shaking. Mom? Lily's voice was small, scared. I'm okay, baby. Just give me a minute. Rex approached slowly, cautiously. He pressed his nose against Emma's arm, a soft whine escaping his throat. When she looked up, she saw something in his eyes that looked almost like an apology. You scared me, she told him quietly. You scared me so badly. His tail-tucked ears flattening. He knew. He understood that he'd made a mistake. But you also protected my daughter, and I can't hate you for that. Emma reached out slowly and touched his scarred muzzle. We're going to figure this out, boy. Somehow. Marcus arrived 30 minutes later with 2 suitcases and a determined expression. Okay, let's talk about what just happened and how we make sure it never happens again. They spent the next hour breaking down the incident. What had triggered Rex? What warning signs they'd missed? What should have been done differently? The officers made mistakes, Marcus said. But so did we. We should have had Rex in another room when they arrived. Should have controlled the environment better. This is on me as much as anyone. It's on me, Emma said. I'm his owner. I'm responsible. And I'm his handler, Lily added quietly. He was protecting me because that's his job, because I let him think I needed protecting. Marcus looked at the little girl with something like respect. You know what, Lily? You're more mature than most adults I work with. You're right. Rex was doing what you trained him to do. What we need to do now is expand his understanding of what constitutes a real threat versus a perceived one. How do we do that? Exposure therapy. Controlled situations where Rex learns that strangers approaching you isn't always dangerous. It's going to take time, patience, and a lot of trust. Marcus pulled out his phone. I'm going to call in some favors. Get some people Rex doesn't know to come over and practice approach protocols. We start small. Build up gradually. By the end of these 2 weeks, Rex should be able to handle routine interactions without reacting. And if he can't? Emma asked. Marcus didn't answer, which was answer enough. That night, Emma lay in her bed listening to Marcus settling into the living room couch. She still couldn't believe he'd actually moved in. Given up 2 weeks of his life to save a dog he barely knew. Why are you doing this? She'd asked him earlier. Because I've seen too many good dogs get put down for being broken by the things humans did to them, he'd answered simply. Rex didn't ask to be a police dog, didn't ask to be put in situations where children die. He was doing his job, and when it went wrong, everyone blamed him instead of the system that failed him. I'm not letting that stand, not if I can help it. Now in the darkness, Emma wondered how many other Marcus Reeds were out there. How many people fighting small battles against injustice that nobody else saw or cared about. The next morning started with a knock at 6 a.m. Emma opened the door to find a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a confident stance. I'm Dr. Sarah Kim, she said. Marcus called, said you needed help with socialization training. At 6 in the morning. Best time, dog still sleepy, less reactive. Where is he? For the next hour, Dr. Kim worked with Rex under Marcus's supervision. She approached slowly, talking constantly, letting Rex see her hands, letting him smell her. When he tensed, she backed off. When he relaxed, she moved closer. It was agonizingly slow, but it was working. By the time Lily woke up, Rex had allowed Dr. Kim to touch his head. Good boy, Dr. Kim murmured. Such a good boy. You're learning, aren't you? Learning that not everyone's a threat. Over the next few days, Marcus brought in more people. A mailman, a teenager, an elderly man with a cane. Each one practiced approaching Lily while Rex watched ready, but not reactive. Each time Lily would say, "It's okay, Rex, they're friends." And slowly, painfully, Rex began to believe her. But Emma could see the toll it was taking on him. He was exhausted, constantly vigilant, trying so hard to be good. Sometimes at night she'd hear him whimpering in his sleep, and she'd find him in Lily's room, pressed against the wheelchair, trembling with nightmares. He's reliving it, Marcus said when she mentioned it. The night the girl died. He's trying to rewrite the ending in his dreams, trying to save her. But he can't. And every morning he wakes up and remembers he failed. How do we help him move past that? Same way we help anyone move past trauma. We give him new memories, better ones. We show him that he's more than his worst moment. On day 7 of Marcus's supervision, something shifted. A delivery driver came to the door, and Rex didn't growl, didn't tense. He just watched, waiting for Lily's cue, and when she said, "It's okay, boy," he relaxed. That's progress, Marcus said, making notes. Real progress. But the real test came on day 9. Emma had taken Lily to physical therapy, leaving Marcus alone with Rex for the first time. When they got back, they found Marcus sitting on the floor with Rex's head in his lap, both of them just breathing. "What happened?" Emma asked. Marcus looked up and she saw his eyes were red. "I told him about my daughter, about how she died. Car accident 5 years ago. She was 8, same age as the girl Rex tried to save." Emma's hand went to her mouth. "Marcus, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Nobody does. I don't talk about it. But Rex..." His voice broke. He needed to know he wasn't the only one carrying that kind of guilt. That sometimes bad things just happen, and it's nobody's fault, but we blame ourselves anyway. Did it help? I don't know. But he let me cry all over him for 20 minutes and didn't move once. So maybe it helped both of us. That night, Emma found Marcus outside on the apartment steps staring at the stars. "You didn't have to tell him about your daughter," she said, sitting beside him. "Yes, I did. Because I've been where Rex is. After Hannah died, I blamed myself for years. Thought if I'd been driving instead of my wife, if I'd taken a different route, if I'd left work earlier. You can drive yourself crazy with if-onlys." "How did you stop?" "I didn't. Not really. I just learned to live with it. Learned that guilt is something you carry, not something that carries you. And I needed Rex to understand that too. That he can survive this. That the weight gets easier over time." "You're a good man, Marcus Reed." "I'm a broken man who's gotten good at pretending otherwise. But sometimes broken pieces fit together better than whole ones. Maybe that's what's happening here. Maybe we're all just broken pieces figuring out how to be something stronger together." On day 12, Officer Liu came for a surprise inspection. Emma's heart nearly stopped when she opened the door. "Relax," Liu said. "This is routine. Where's the dog?" Rex was in the living room with Lily playing tug-of-war with a rope toy. When Officer Liu entered, he stopped playing. Tensed, but he didn't growl. "Rex, sit," Lily said calmly. He sat. "Can I approach?" Liu asked Marcus. Slowly. "Let him see your hands. Lily, tell him it's okay." "Rex, this is Officer Liu. She's a friend. No bite." Rex's ears flicked forward, processing. Officer Liu took one step closer, then another. She extended her hand, palm up, not reaching toward Lily, but offering herself to Rex's judgment. The dog sniffed her hand cautiously. His tail gave one uncertain wag. "May I pet him?" Liu asked. "Lily's call," Marcus said. "You can pet him," Lily said. "He won't hurt you." Officer Liu touched Rex's head gently. The dog leaned into it, eyes closing. "Well," Liu said softly, "that's quite a change from last week." "He's trying," Marcus said. "We all are." Liu straightened up, pulling out her clipboard. "I'm going to recommend to my supervisor that the supervision period be lifted early. Effective immediately, actually. This dog has shown remarkable improvement, and Mr. Reed, your dedication here is noted. But I have to ask, you can't live here forever. What happens when you leave?" "I'm not leaving," Marcus said. "Not completely. I'll still come by daily for the next month, then every other day, then weekly. Rex will always have support. He'll always have someone who understands what he's been through." "And the Parker family? Are you prepared to take on this responsibility long term?" Emma spoke up. "We are. Rex isn't just Lily's dog. He's family, and we don't give up on family." After Officer Liu left with a positive report, they all exhaled in relief. The crisis had passed. Rex was safe. But that night, Emma couldn't shake a feeling of unease. Something was coming. She could feel it the way you feel a storm before the clouds arrive. She was right to worry. At 2 a.m., the smoke alarm went off. Emma bolted awake, her mind fuzzy with sleep. Smoke. She smelled smoke. And not from outside, from inside the apartment. "Lily!" she screamed, throwing off her covers. "Marcus!" She ran into the hallway and saw flames. The kitchen was on fire, flames crawling up the walls from the stove. She must not have turned off the burner completely after making dinner. The dish towel hanging too close had caught, and now half the kitchen was engulfed. "Mom!" Lily's terrified scream came from her bedroom. Emma tried to run toward her daughter, but the smoke was too thick. She couldn't breathe, couldn't see. She dropped to her knees, coughing violently. Then she heard barking. Loud, urgent, commanding barking. Through the smoke, she saw Rex burst out of Lily's room. He ran straight to Emma, grabbed her sleeve in his jaws and pulled. Hard. "Rex, no! I need to get Lily!" But Rex wasn't listening. He dragged Emma toward the front door with strength she couldn't fight. She stumbled along, still coughing, and Rex physically pushed her out into the hallway with his body. Then he turned and ran back inside. "Rex, no!" Emma screamed. "Come back!" Marcus appeared from somewhere, coughing his shirt over his mouth. "Where's Lily?" "Still inside. Rex went back for her." Marcus tried to run back in, but Emma grabbed him. "You can't, the smoke." "I have to." A crash came from inside. More glass breaking. Then through the thickening smoke and growing flames, Rex emerged. He was dragging Lily's wheelchair with his teeth pulling with every ounce of strength in his body. Lily was in it, coughing, but alive, tears streaming down her face. "Rex," she sobbed. "Rex, you came back." The dog pulled her wheelchair all the way into the hallway before collapsing beside her, his sides heaving. His paws were burned, his fur was singed, but his eyes were clear. He'd done it. He'd saved his girl. Fire trucks arrived, sirens wailing. Paramedics checked them all for smoke inhalation. Firefighters battled the blaze until it was nothing but wet, charred remains of what used to be a kitchen. A fire marshal approached as dawn broke. "Mrs. Parker, I need to ask you some questions about how this started." But Emma wasn't listening. She was watching Marcus kneel beside Rex, checking his injuries, while Lily held the dog's head in her lap, whispering to him over and over, "You saved me. You saved me. You saved me." The same dog everyone had called dangerous. The same dog everyone had wanted to put down. The same dog who'd been blamed for failing to save a child had just risked his life to save one. And as the sun rose over the smoking remains of their home, Emma understood something profound. Rex hadn't failed that night in the warehouse. He'd been failed. Failed by bad intel, bad timing, bad luck. But he'd never stopped being a hero. He'd just needed someone to give him a reason to remember how. "Ma'am?" The fire marshal was still waiting. "I need to ask about the fire." Emma finally looked at him. "It was my fault. I didn't turn the stove off properly. This is on me." "I see. And the dog, he got everyone out." "Yes. He saved us all." The fire marshal looked over at Rex, who was now being bandaged by a paramedic, while Lily refused to let go of him. "That's some dog you've got there." "That's some hero," Emma corrected quietly. "That's some hero." The hotel room smelled like disinfectant and old carpet, nothing like home. Emma sat on the edge of the bed watching Lily sleep in the other twin bed, Rex curled on the floor between them. The dog's paws were wrapped in white bandages, his breathing labored from smoke inhalation. Marcus had gone to deal with insurance paperwork and find them temporary housing. They couldn't go back to the apartment. The fire marshal had condemned the entire unit, said the structural damage was too severe. Emma's phone buzzed. A text from her sister in Ohio. "Just saw the news. Come stay with us. We have room." But they didn't have room. Not for a 90-pound German Shepherd with a trauma history. Emma had already asked. Another text, this one from Sarah at Haven's Hope. "Heard about the fire. Rex is a hero. If you need anything at all, call me." Emma stared at that word. Hero. Everyone kept using it. The fire marshal had used it. The paramedics had used it. Even the news crew that had shown up had used it. But Emma wondered if Rex knew he was a hero, or if he still thought he was the dog who'd failed. She got up quietly and knelt beside him. His eyes opened immediately, always alert, always ready. "How do you do it?" she whispered. "How do you keep going after everything that's happened to you?" Rex's tail thumped once against the floor. In the dim light from the bathroom, his eyes looked less haunted than they had that first day at the shelter, like something inside him had finally started to heal. "You saved her," Emma continued, her voice breaking. "You saved my daughter. And I don't know how to thank you for that. I don't know how to tell you what that means." Rex lifted his bandaged paw and placed it on her hand, the same gesture he'd given Lily that first day. A promise, a connection. Emma pressed her forehead against his scarred muzzle and cried. For everything they'd lost, for everything they'd found, for this broken, beautiful dog who'd somehow put all their broken pieces back together. When Marcus returned at dawn, he had news. "I found a place. It's not much, but it's furnished, allows dogs, and it's available immediately. Month-to-month lease." "How much?" Emma asked, already knowing she couldn't afford it. Marcus named a price that was actually lower than her old apartment. "That's impossible. Nothing in this city rents for that cheap." The owner's a veteran. When I told him about Rex, about what he did, he said, "Any K9 hero gets a discount." His words, not mine. Emma felt tears threatening again. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll take it. Say you'll let people help you for once." Marcus pulled out his phone, showing her photos. It was small, but clean. 2 bedrooms, a tiny yard. "It's not perfect, but Rex will have space to recover, and there's a ramp already installed for the back entrance. Previous tenant was also in a wheelchair." "It's perfect," Emma whispered. They moved in that afternoon with nothing but the clothes they'd been wearing when the fire started, and whatever donations people from the shelter had dropped off. Marcus had somehow coordinated an entire operation. Volunteers brought dog supplies, blankets, dishes, even a few toys for Lily. "People want to help," he explained when Emma tried to thank everyone. "Rex's story, it's giving people hope. After everything that happened to him, everything he survived, he's still fighting, still saving lives. That means something to folks." What Marcus didn't mention was that Rex's story had gone viral. The security footage from the apartment building showing him dragging Lily's wheelchair through smoke and flames had been shared millions of times. Local news had picked it up. Then national news. By evening, Hero Dog Rex was trending on every social media platform. Emma's phone wouldn't stop ringing. News outlets wanting interviews. Publishers wanting book deals. Even a Hollywood producer asking about movie rights. She ignored them all. The only thing that mattered was Lily and Rex both sleeping peacefully in their new space, both safe. But the attention brought something else. Something Emma hadn't expected. 3 days after they moved in, there was a knock at the door. Emma opened it to find Officer Mark Jensen standing there in full uniform, his face drawn and older than she remembered from their brief phone conversation. "Mrs. Parker, I'm Mark Jensen. I know this is unexpected, but His voice cracked. "I saw the news. About the fire. About what Rex did. And I needed to see him. I needed to see if it was really true. If he's really okay." Emma stepped aside. "He's in the backyard with Lily." Mark walked through the small house like a man approaching a grave, each step weighted with dread and hope in equal measure. When he reached the back door, he stopped. Rex was lying in the grass, his bandaged paws stretched out, while Lily read to him from a book. The afternoon sun turned his fur golden, made him look younger somehow, whole. "Rex?" Mark breathed. The dog's head snapped up. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then Rex stood slowly, painfully, and took one step toward the door. Then another. "I'm sorry," Mark said, tears streaming down his face. "I'm so sorry I couldn't keep you. I'm sorry I let them blame you. I'm sorry for everything." Rex reached the door. Mark opened it and sank to his knees. The German Shepherd walked straight into his former handler's arms and pressed his head against Mark's chest. Mark sobbed like a child, his arms wrapped around his old partner. "I never stopped thinking about you. Never stopped believing you were a good dog. The best dog. I couldn't save you. I couldn't figure out how to make people see what I saw." Lily wheeled closer. Are you Officer Jensen? Mark looked up, wiping his eyes. I am. And you must be Lily. You're the one who saved him. No, Lily said firmly. We saved each other. Mark stayed for an hour, catching up with Rex, telling stories about their time together on the force. Emma made coffee and listened, learning about the dog who'd been lost for so long. There was this one time. Mark said, his hand absently stroking Rex's head. We got called to a missing child case. 3-year-old boy wandered away from a park. It was winter, getting dark, temperature dropping fast. We'd been searching for hours. Other K9 units had given up, but Rex wouldn't quit. He tracked that boy for 6 miles through woods and streams and finally found him huddled in a drainage pipe, hypothermic but alive. Did Rex get recognized for that? Lily asked. Mark's expression darkened. He got a commendation. But then 3 months later, the warehouse incident happened. And suddenly none of his successes mattered anymore. One failure erased 3 years of saves. That's not fair, Lily said. No, it's not. But that's how the world works sometimes. One bad moment defines you, and people forget everything else. Mark looked at Rex. Except you didn't forget, did you, boy? You didn't forget how to be brave. You just needed someone to remind you it was okay to try again. Before Mark left, he pulled Emma aside. I want to help, however I can. You've given Rex something I couldn't, a second chance. Let me give something back. You don't have to. I want to. Please, let me do this one thing right. Emma didn't know what he meant until 2 days later, when a check arrived in the mail. $5,000. A note attached. For Rex's medical bills and your family's recovery. It's not enough, but it's a start. MJ. Emma called him immediately. Mark, I can't accept this. Yes, you can, and you will. Because Rex earned it 3 years ago when he saved that little boy. He earned it every time he put his life on the line for this city. Consider it back pay for services rendered. But, Emma, please, let me help make this right. I've spent a year drowning in guilt over what happened to Rex. You've given me a way to fix it. Don't take that away from me. The money allowed them to buy furniture, to stock the kitchen properly, to take Rex to a veterinary specialist who treated his burned paws and prescribed medicine for the lingering effects of smoke inhalation. It also allowed Emma to take a week off work to focus on getting settled, which was good, because the media attention showed no signs of stopping. A week after the fire, a documentary crew showed up asking to film Rex's story. Emma said no. Then a children's book author asked permission to write about Rex. Emma said no to that too. Why are you turning everyone down? Marcus asked after she'd refused yet another interview request. Because Rex isn't a commodity. He's not a feel-good story to be packaged and sold. He's a living being who's been through hell, and the last thing he needs is more cameras and strangers and attention. What if the attention could help other dogs like him? What if Rex's story could change how people view traumatized K9’s? Emma paused. She hadn't thought about it that way. How many dogs are out there right now? Marcus continued. Labeled as aggressive or dangerous because they've been through trauma. How many are being put down because nobody gives them the chance? Rex got. Your daughter gave Rex something incredible. What if you could give that same chance to other dogs? That night, Emma brought it up with Lily. What do you think? Should we let people tell Rex's story? Lily was quiet for a long moment, her hand resting on Rex's head. Only if it helps other dogs. Rex would want that. He'd want to save more people. That's who he is. So Emma agreed to one interview, one documentary, one chance to show the world that broken doesn't mean beyond saving. The crew came on a Saturday. They were respectful, keeping their distance from Rex, following all of Marcus's protocols. They interviewed Emma, Lily, Marcus, Mark, and Sarah from Haven's Hope. They got footage of Rex playing in the backyard, of him helping Lily reach something she'd dropped, of him sitting calmly while children walked past on the sidewalk. The difference between the dog in the footage and the dog in those old shelter videos was staggering. "What do you want people to understand about Rex?" the interviewer asked Lily. Lily thought carefully before answering. "I want them to understand that when someone's been hurt really badly, they don't stop being good. They just stop believing they deserve good things. Rex didn't need to be fixed. He just needed to be loved. That's all any of us need." The documentary aired 3 weeks later. Within hours, Haven's Hope's phones were ringing off the hook. People wanted to adopt the difficult dogs, the ones with trauma histories, the ones who'd been given up on. Sarah called Emma, laughing and crying at the same time. "We've had 17 applications today. 17. For dogs that have been here for months with zero interest. Rex did this. Your family did this." But the documentary had another effect, one Emma hadn't anticipated. 2 days after it aired, a woman showed up at their door. She was in her 50s, well-dressed, with red-rimmed eyes. "Mrs. Parker, my name is Catherine Mills. I need to talk to you about Rex, about the night my daughter died." Emma's blood went cold. "Your daughter, Emily. She was the little girl in the warehouse, the one Rex tried to save." Emma's hand went to her throat. "I'm so sorry. I can't imagine. I need to meet him." Catherine interrupted. "Please, I need to meet the dog who was with my daughter when she died." Everything in Emma screamed to say no, to protect Rex from this confrontation, to keep him safe from the one person who had every right to hate him. But Catherine's eyes held something other than anger. They held desperation. "Okay," Emma heard herself say. "But slowly, and if Rex shows any distress, we stop immediately." Catherine nodded. "I understand." Rex was in the living room with Lily playing their usual game of gentle tug-of-war. When Catherine entered, he looked up and went completely still. "It's okay, boy," Lily said softly. "She's a friend." But Rex knew. Somehow he knew who this woman was. He dropped the toy and backed up his body language, screaming guilt and shame. Catherine sank to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "It's you. It's really you." Rex whined a sound of pure anguish. "I've read the reports," Catherine said, her voice shaking. "I've talked to people who were there that night, and I've spent 2 years hating everyone and everything connected to what happened to Emily. But Rex..." She reached out a trembling hand. "You tried to save her. You stood between her and that monster. And when you couldn't save her life, you stayed with her so she wouldn't die alone." Rex was shaking now, his entire body trembling. "Come here," Catherine whispered. "Please, let me thank you." For a long, terrible moment, Rex didn't move. Then slowly he walked toward Catherine. Each step looked like it cost him everything. When he reached her, he sat down and lowered his head, waiting for judgment. Catherine wrapped her arms around him and sobbed into his fur. "Thank you. Thank you for being there. Thank you for trying. Thank you for not letting her be alone." Rex collapsed against her, and Emma realized the dog was crying too. That low, keening whine that came from somewhere deep and broken inside him. "It wasn't your fault," Catherine said over and over. "It wasn't your fault. You did everything you could. You were her hero, even if you couldn't save her." They stayed like that for 20 minutes. Catherine crying into Rex's fur, Rex pressing against her like he was trying to absorb her pain, Lily watching with tears streaming down her face. Finally, Catherine pulled back, wiping her eyes. "I came here angry. I came here thinking seeing this dog would help me blame someone other than the man who killed my daughter. But you know what? Looking at Rex, seeing what he's overcome, understanding what he carries, I can't hate him. I can only thank him for being there when I couldn't be." "He never forgot her," Emma said quietly. "Every time he sees a child, every time Lily's in any kind of danger, he's trying to save Emily. He's been trying to save her for 2 years." "I know," Catherine said. "I can see it in his eyes. He's still in that warehouse, still trying to change the ending." She looked at Lily. And then, he found you. Someone who needed saving in a different way. Lily wheeled closer. He saved me, but I think maybe I saved him too. You did, Catherine said. You gave him what I wish I could give him: absolution. The knowledge that he's still worthy of love despite his failure. She stood up, pulling a business card from her purse. Mrs. Parker. I run a children's grief counseling center. Kids who've lost parents, siblings, friends. They need hope. They need to see that life can be good again, even after tragedy. Would you and Rex consider visiting? Just once, I think they could learn from both of you. Emma looked at Lily, who nodded eagerly, then at Rex, who had stopped shaking and was watching Catherine with something approaching peace in his eyes. We'd be honored, Emma said. 2 weeks later, they visited Catherine's center. 15 children sat in a circle, ages ranging from 6 to 14, all of them carrying grief too heavy for their young shoulders. Catherine introduced Rex. This is a dog who lost someone he loved, someone he tried to save but couldn't. And for a long time he thought that made him bad, broken, unworthy of love. Rex lay down beside Lily's wheelchair, his head on his paws, listening. But then he met Lily, who taught him something important. That failing to save someone doesn't make you a failure. That carrying grief doesn't make you broken. And that even in our darkest moments, we're still capable of love and courage and hope. A small boy raised his hand. Can I pet him? Lily looked at Rex, who looked back at her with calm, trusting eyes. You can pet him. He's safe. One by one, the children approached. Rex let each one touch him, accepted their gentle hands on his scarred body, allowed them to press their faces into his fur and cry. He seemed to understand that these children were like him, carrying loss, carrying guilt, carrying the weight of things they couldn't change. A teenage girl with scars on her wrists sat down beside Rex and whispered, My brother died because I wasn't watching him carefully enough. I was supposed to be watching him. Rex lifted his head and rested it in her lap, just sat there bearing witness to her pain. Does he ever stop feeling guilty? The girl asked. I don't know, Lily answered honestly. But he stops letting guilt win. He chooses to be brave anyway, and some days that's enough. They stayed for 3 hours. By the end, every child had spent time with Rex. Several had cried. All of them had smiled. As they were leaving, the teenage girl approached Lily. Thank you for bringing him, for showing us that maybe we're not broken beyond repair. None of us are, Lily said firmly. We're just broken. And that's okay. Broken things can still be beautiful. They can still be loved. That visit became a monthly thing, then weekly. Rex became a therapy dog without any formal certification, his very presence offering comfort to children who understood loss. And something miraculous happened. The more Rex helped others, the more he healed himself. The nightmares became less frequent. The hypervigilance eased. He learned to play again. Really play, not just the careful, controlled games he'd allowed before, but wild, joyful romping in the backyard that made Lily laugh until she cried. 6 months after the fire, Emma received a call from the chief of police. Mrs. Parker, I'm calling about Rex, about his service record. We've reviewed the warehouse incident with fresh eyes, and we've concluded that the operation was compromised from the start. Rex acted appropriately given the circumstances, and he deserves to have that failure removed from his record. Emma's heart skipped. What does that mean? It means Rex's retirement will show honorable service, no notations of failure. And if you're willing, we'd like to do a ceremony. Restore his commendations. Give him the recognition he deserved all along. Emma put him on speaker so Lily and Marcus could hear. What do you think? She asked. I think Rex earned it, Marcus said. I think it's the right thing to do, Lily added. The ceremony was held on a crisp Saturday morning at the police station. Officers lined up in formation, brass in attendance, and in the middle of it all, Rex sat beside Lily's wheelchair, calm and dignified. The chief spoke about Rex's years of service, the lives he'd saved, the criminals he'd helped catch, the children he'd protected. And then he spoke about the warehouse, about the investigation that had revealed faulty intel and compromised communications. Rex performed his duties with honor that night, the chief said clearly. What happened to Emily Mills was a tragedy, but it was not his failure. It was ours. And today we correct that wrong. Mark Jensen stepped forward in full dress uniform. In his hands he carried Rex's old police badge and a new medal. Rex, Mark said, his voice thick with emotion. For 3 years you were the best partner I ever had. The best K9 this department has ever seen. I'm sorry it took us so long to recognize that, but I want you to know something. He knelt down, fastening the medal to Rex's collar. You never stopped being a hero, not for 1 second. The assembled officers saluted. Rex's tail wagged slowly, proudly. Catherine Mills was there too, standing with her husband. When the ceremony ended, she approached Emma. I've been thinking, Catherine said. My grief center is expanding. We're adding a wing specifically for children dealing with trauma-related guilt. I'd like to name it after Rex, if that's okay with you. The Rex Memorial Wing? Emma asked. No. Catherine smiled through tears. The Rex Hope Wing, because that's what he gives people. Hope that they can survive their worst moments and still find joy again. That night, Emma, Lily, and Rex sat in their small backyard, watching the stars come out. Rex's head rested in Lily's lap, his eyes half closed in contentment. Mom, Lily said. Remember when you said some things are worth being stupid for? I remember. You were right. Rex was worth it. All of it. Emma looked at her daughter, who'd gone from a child who couldn't imagine getting out of bed to a young woman who counseled other kids through their grief. Looked at Rex, who'd gone from a dog everyone had given up on to a hero who saved lives just by existing. You know what I've learned, Emma said softly. Sometimes the things that break us are the things that make us strong enough to help others. Your accident, Rex's trauma, they were terrible. But they also gave you both something precious. Empathy, understanding, the ability to reach people nobody else can reach. Do you think Emily would be happy? Lily asked. That Rex found a way to help kids because of what happened to her. Emma thought about Catherine's tears of gratitude, about the children who found comfort in Rex's presence, about how one tragedy had somehow transformed into countless moments of healing. I think Emily would be proud, Emma said. I think she'd look at Rex and say, good job, buddy. You did it. You saved them all. Rex's tail thumped against the ground, and Emma could have sworn she saw him smile. They sat there until the stars filled the sky, 3 broken pieces that had found each other in the darkness, and learned to be whole. Not perfect, not unmarked by pain, but whole nonetheless. And in the end, that was enough, more than enough. It was everything.